Assalamualaikum and hi. In this video, I'm going to go through with you the solution for week 6 Java conditional statements, where in this week we have went through different types of conditional statements like if, and else. We have also looked into the switch statements plus the nested if and nested switch. Finally, we learned about how to write a program which contains both switch and if-else statements within the same programs. Now let's get started with the first questions of our lab exercise, where in these first questions it says, below is a code snippet containing 6 arrows. Please identify these arrows and rewrite the entire programs in the provided code cell. So what I will do now is I'm going to copy the code here and put it into the code cell, right? Can I do that? Yes. Control C, put it here. Okay. Now, if we look into the first line, integer marks equal to 75, that's correct. Integer attendance rate equal to 0.8. We know that there's a problem with the data type. The numbers is with decimal point, so I need to use either double or float here. So this is the first arrow. Now, if we look into the if-else statement, so I have the if here, and then the else here, right? So if, else, this is my outer if-else statements. And here I have an inner if-else statement. So this is a nested if, where I have if and else if. Okay, so let's look into it and then fix this bit by bit. The first one is correct. If marks greater or equal to 50, open brace and then close brace, else open brace, close brace. Okay. Now, if we look into the inner if-else statements, okay, if attendance rate is greater than 0.75, I open brace here, okay, you will see that here I have a close brace. So the problem is I need to close it here, okay, so that if, open brace, okay, close it here. And then I should use else rather than else if, because I only have two conditions here. If attendance rate is greater than 0.75, I do something. Else, I print attendance is low. So here I should use else only, and then I need to add another open brace. Okay. So here you can see if attendance rate is greater than 0.75, I have an open brace, I close it here, and then else, okay, instead of using else if, which is incorrect, I use else because there are only two conditions again, then open and close brace. Now, next will be system.out.println pass with adequate attendance. Okay, something is missing here. If you notice the color, because all of these are string, so I need to open and close it with a double quotation. So here I need to use the double quotations, okay? So you can see the color is correct now. And then else system.out.println, if you notice here, the S should be capital letter. Okay, the S should be capital letter again. Let's try to run this. Yes, I'm able to run it without any errors, right? So first error is the data type. The second one is the open and close brace. You need to make sure it's correct. And then you need to use else statements. Here, the problem with the strings. And finally, the S needs to be in capital letter, right? Second question is write a Java programs that accept two integers as input and checks whether they are equal. The program should then display the result of this comparison. So we know that we need to use what we have learned previously, which is we need to use a scanner class to ask for the user input, because here it says accepts two integer as input. So in order for me to do that, I'll need to do import java.utility.scanner, and I need to create a scanner object where I do scanner, new object or my object equal to new, sorry, should be equal to new scanner system.in. Okay. And I'm going to read to integer. I'm going to put in the instructions first. System.out.println. Please enter the first integer. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just copy this and paste it and say, please enter the second integer. These are my instructions. Now I'm going to read the input by the user using a specific methods under the scanner class, as we know. So I do integer first num, this is the name of my variables, equal to, use the object which I have created earlier, my object dot next integer, right? Because I want to read integer. Okay. And I can copy this one and then put it here, okay? And I just need to change it to second number, right? So I need to read two numbers. Before I proceed with the next stage of the programs, I just want to check this part is working. So what I'll do is I'll just do a quick print line to print the input by the user to make sure that I have written the scanner class correctly. So I just do system.out.println first number, second number, okay, and then I'm going to run it. So first integer, let's say is 5, second integer is also 5, so I get 5, 5, right? So the input part is correct. Now we need to proceed with the second part of this task here and check whether they are equal. So check whether these two numbers are equals. I'll leave this system.out.println first. Now I'm going to add a if statement, right? If, okay, first number is equal to the second number. Remember, for equal, we need to use the double equal sign here, right? Okay. It says to check whether they are equal, the program should then display the result of this comparison. So we need to display the result of the comparison. Okay, so I just do system.out.println. These numbers are equal. Okay, close with a semicolon, and then else. Okay, else I do system.out.println. These numbers are not equal. Okay, and I think I can remove this one, the print line here, and let's run this. So try with 5 and also 5. So this number are equals. Let's try with something different. 6, 7. And I have these numbers are not equal. So we're done with question 2, where we use a combinations of what you have learned earlier, the scanner class to read user input, and then the if-else statements to do the comparison and then to print the comparison result. Question 3, write a Java program to determine if a person is eligible to vote. The program should make these determinations based on the following conditions. So here you have two conditions, right? Register. If you registered, you have registered. So yes. And your age is greater or equal to 18, then you're eligible to vote, mean you can vote. If you have registered, but your age is less than 18, then you're not eligible to vote. If you haven't registered, then of course, no matter your age is greater or less than 18, then of course you can't vote. And if you notice here, we need to use the scanner class again to check or to ask for the user input. Well, I'm just gonna copy this one, right? And put it here first. We're gonna import a scanner class. We're gonna create a scanner object, and then we're going to ask for user input. This will be the sample input output here. Have you registered and how old are you? Okay, these will be the two questions here. And if you notice here, if the answer for the first question is no, then you won't even ask for the second questions, right? You won't even ask how old are you, just straight away display you're not eligible to vote. Okay, so now let's get started with this, where we do a system.out.println first for the first questions. So the first questions will be, have you registered? Okay. And I'm gonna do the double quotations here. And here should be yes or no. It can be Boolean or it can be string. I will do Boolean, I'll do string in this case. So I do string registered, okay, equal to my object, right? Dot next, because there's only one word basically. So dot next. Okay. Now we can do a print line to make sure that this works without any problems. So okay, so let's say if I say yes, okay, then it's yes. Okay, good. And of course, here we need to add in a conditional statements. You can either use if else or you can use the switch statements. But try to use the switch statements here, right? Switch, okay, registered, okay, registered. This is the variables that I want to compare. And I open and close it, sorry. That should come after the brackets. So here, okay, open and close. So I have two cases here. The first is yes. If it's yes, then you need to do something. So I add in the cases, then only I write what needs to be done. Okay, if no, then I need to do something. Okay, right. Don't rush to do the whole programs. You can do another testing here. So for example, here I say if the case is yes, then I print, well, let's print yes. Okay, if it's no, then I print no. Okay, I just want to make sure that I have written the correct switch statements. In fact, that's what you need to do when you're dealing with or you're writing programs. So write it bit by bit and then test it bit by bit. Okay, for example, just now I have tested my scanner class. Now I want to test my switch. Okay, so don't wait until the very end. Once you have done everything, then only you do the testing, because it will be very difficult for you to do the debugging. Okay, so I need to use the break keywords here. I'm going to remove this to avoid confusion. Now let's run this. I have a switch statements. Have you registered? Yes. So if yes, okay. So there's a problems here, as you can see. So my spellings for the register is incorrect. So REGISTERED. Okay, registered. Let's try again. Yes. Okay, so I get yes. Now I can proceed to the next stage. Okay. If yes, then I would need to ask for the second question. The second question is, how old are you? So I'm going to do a system.out.println here. I will do, how old are you? That's just, how old are you? Okay. Just going to type it here. How old are you? Okay. And then, well, of course, you need to read the input from the user. Here I say age integer, right? Integer age is equal to, remember we can reuse the same object, this kind of object which we have created earlier, and then I just use the next integer method to read integer. If it's no, then it's straightforward here. You are not eligible to vote. So here I just write you are not eligible to vote. Is my answer if no. Okay. Okay. Now I need to add another if else statements, but before that, I will just do a print of the age input by the user. Okay. So have you registered? If I say yes, okay. How old are you? Okay. How old are you? Here it says 19. Of course, we didn't see anything. We can only see 19 because I haven't added in the if-else statements yet. Now let's try if it's no, what will happen? Have you registered no? You are not eligible to vote, right? So I get the sample input output 2 exactly the same. Okay, so I'm done with that part. Now I'm going to add a little if-else statement here to check on the second condition. So if you notice, this is a nested conditional statements where I combine both switch statements and also the if-else statements, right? So here I do if, okay, if my age is greater or equal to 18, then you're eligible to vote. So if my age is greater or equal to 18, I'm eligible to vote. So I have a code block here. Else, I'm not eligible to vote, right? So this is my if-else statements, and I just need to copy this, okay? So if my age is greater or equal to 18, I am eligible. If not, then you're not eligible. So copy this one. Age greater or equal to 18, you are eligible to vote. Okay. Remove this. Remember, always remove the comment which is not useful. Now let's run this again. Have you registered? Yes. How old are you? 19. If it's 19, then I will get you are eligible to vote. So again, I get the same input output as shown here in the first part here. Okay. So you can see I have a switch statements, and within that switch statements, I have a if-else statements here. Okay, if-else statements. Right. Now let's move on to the fourth questions. We have seen the Java code for simplified versions of a toll calculator in sections 1.3. Now let's extend the code to determine the toll fare based on the table below. So here you have journey 1, 2, 3, from where to where, but you have different classes, right? So let's say if you travel from Alopongsu to Alostar Selatan, depend on the class of your vehicles. Of course, this is the class of your vehicles. If it's 1, that is 13 ringgit 0.52. If it's class 2, it's 24.60, okay, ringgit Malaysia. So for simplicity, of course, you can add in the scanner class, but we have done that enough. So what I'll do is I'll just do a kind of like initialization. So I'll just create a variables where I'll just do integer journey. So let's say, right, let's say my journey is 1, okay, which means my journey is from Alopongsu to Alostar Selatan. And then I create another variable, which is the class. So class will be equal to the, well, class is a reserved keywords, right? How do I know that? Of course, I didn't memorize it, but if you look into this, you can see the color. Okay, integer class, the class is actually in blue color. So I can do fare class, okay? Let's say I do 2, okay? So if I do this kind of initializations, then I know that journey is 1 means my journey is from Alopongsu to Alostar Selatan, and then my fare is under class 2, so I should have 24.60, right? That's the amount of the fare that I need to pay. So well, again, it depends whether you want to do if else or you want to do switch statements. Here, I'm going to do switch statements again because I think it's easier for us to work on switch statements. So journey, okay, switch journey, because I'm going to check on the journey here. And what I'll do is I'll add the case here. So the case here will be 1, okay, 2, and then 3, right? Case 3. So if it's case 1, then I'll just write, well, just write down I travel from where to where, right? Alopongsu to Alostar Kelantan, Alostar Selatan, not Kelantan, sorry. And then system.out.println for case 2, okay, and case 3. Okay, and I'll just do this one, right? Close it. Okay. So you can see I have 3 cases here. If you notice the difference is because now I want to compare this in the form of integers, so I have 1, 2, 3, compared to the previous one is string, so I put that as strings, okay, with the double quotations. So you need to take note of that as well. The last one is tapa to aikaro, okay. Always remember to add in the break keywords, okay. Well, if you want, you can add in also the default keywords, right? So if I have anything which is out of 1, 2, 3, then I can say just let's say we will just put in a message saying this is a invalid journey, okay, because it's not in my database here, okay, right? Before we move on again to the second conditions, let's check on this. Looks good. Well, we don't know, okay? So Alapongsu to Alostar Selatan, straight away print that because my journey is 1. Let's say if my journey is 4, then you should get invalid journey, okay? So the first condition here is correct. I have case 1, 2, 3 showing from where to where I'm traveling. Now we need to move on to the second one, which is the fare here, okay? Fare here, it depends how you want to do it. Again, I'm going to do the if-else statements, okay? And well, in fact, I can do here, I'll just do if fare class is equal to equal. Remember here, you need to use the double equal sign, right? It's 1, then I'll say the fare is, so I'll just print the price here, okay? I just print the price without doing much. So 13.52, okay. It depends here, you can do if else, or if you want to check for the invalid fare class. So what you can do is else if, okay, else if the fare class is equal to 2, okay, then you can print system.out.println. Here I have 24.60, okay, and else, okay, else you can write, for example, if you want, you can write invalid class, right? Invalid class. So here it indicates that maybe you have entered fare class which is not 1 or 2, okay? Well, I can run this in fact and to check on the result. Now, if I change my journey to 1, remember what we have initialized earlier, fare class to 2, we should get 24.6, okay, the fare. So if I run this, so you get, yeah, Alapongsu to Alostar Selatan 24.6. Now, if I change a little bit, I have case 1, which is journey 1, but I have a invalid fare class, for example, 5. So I will get, even it's in from Alapongsu to Alostar Selatan, but it's invalid class, okay? So I believe you should be able to do this, where you just copy and paste it here, okay? And you just change the price, okay? You just change the price. 3.36 and 6.1, 3.36, 6 ringgit and 10 cent, 32.06, okay, 32.06 and 58.7, okay. So we're done with this one. Of course, if you want to add in a scanner class to ask the user to input the journey and also the fare class, that's totally fine. But again, because it's quite lengthy here, I want to simplify that part. We have learned about how to create a scanner class already. We've seen a few examples already. So I just want to focus on the conditional statements here. Okay. Now, question 5. Question 5 will be our final questions for this week Java conditional statements. It builds on top of week 5, part 2 of Java input output. It says, in the previous exercise, we were required to write Java programs that allow the user to enter 2 pieces of information, the current day and also the numbers of days until the users plan to meet with friends. And however, in that programs, both the inputs and the outputs were in integer form, right? If you still remember, previously in week 5, part 2, you ask the user to input what day is today. It will enter, for example, 6, okay, and then it will shows that in integer, it will shows the output, yes, in integer to meet on 2, right? Now we need to add in the conditional statement so that I can print string, okay? This is the expected output here, but before that, let's run what we have in the previous week. I've just have copy and paste it from my previous week solutions here. So if you still remember, it says what day is today. Let's say I put in 6, okay? In how many days you and your friends are going to meet? 10. The output will be made on 2, okay? If you notice here, all are in the form of integers. Now, what we need to do is we need to have some input and output like this. When you're asked what day is today, we need to input the string Saturday. In how many days still is in the form of integer, and the output should be string, not integer, on Tuesday. So we need to do a kind of like a switch from the string to integer and from integer to string. Again, you can choose either to use if else or switch statements, but in this case I'm going to use switch statements because I think that will be more organized compared to if else statements. So in these sections, let's see what we need to change. We import scanner class, we create scanner objects, we ask for the questions. Now, what day is today? Here, I will need to change it to next, okay? Because I'm going to read that as string, okay? Because that will be the expected input from the user. When we ask what day is today, the user need to write either Saturday, Sunday, okay? So that should be in the form of a string, okay? Now I'm gonna comment this out first so that I can do it bit by bit. Okay, so from there, I would then need to change it to integer, right? Because from string today here, I will need to actually put this today into the formula, okay? But if I'm going to put that string into the formula here, I will get some problems because I cannot kind of like join a string with the numbers. Of course, I can do that, but that is no longer the arithmetic operations, okay? That's no longer the arithmetic operations. Of course, I can join a string with an integer. It'll still display some result, but there's not additions, okay? What we want to do in the formula here is additions, okay? So, I will do a switch statements, okay? Where I say switch today, okay? Open and close. Of course, I have a few different case here. So if case is, let's start with Sunday, okay? Right, case Monday. So you should kind of like can guess what I'm going to do here. Monday, Saturday, Tuesday, right? Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesdays. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesday. Case Thursday. Case Friday. Okay, and case Saturday. Okay. So here I can do, now I'm going to change that into numbers. So I need to create a new variables here. In fact, here I can initialize the variables integer today's in number, okay? Right? So notice here, this is my today in string because the user will input string. Now I need to change that string to integer. So I declare integer here, integer today in number. Okay, so I'm going to use these variables here. And I will say if it's Sunday, then it's 0. Okay, it depends again how you define or you fix the table that we have seen earlier in one of the video, right? So here, I just copy and paste it, but I'm going to change the value later on. Wednesday. Okay. and Friday, Saturday. Okay. Well, we'll skip the default because I don't want to make this too lengthy here. So Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay. So with these switch statements, then I can switch from the input from the user in the form of string to integer. Okay. Now, I'll just uncomment this one, right? Okay. Then I proceed to ask the second questions. In how many days you and your friends are going to meet? The user is going to input an integer. This one we didn't change anything. But for the formula, there's something that we need to change here because integer day to meet equal to today. Remember, I say just now today is in the form of string, so we need to change it to the number. So now will be today in number, right? So that we can do the calculations. Okay, if you notice here, now let's say if the user input Saturday, okay, so today in number will be 6, so 6 plus 10, we'll get the same result here. I didn't change this yet because again, we're going to do it bit by bit. I'm going to run this one. Now, what day is today? The input should be in a form of string, Saturday. Okay. In how many days you and your friends are going to meet? 10. So I get the result here. You and your friends are going to meet on 2. Okay. So I've done the first part. Now I need to move on to the second part here because I need to change these to Tuesday. Remember, the requirement of the question is I need to show you and your friends are going to meet on Tuesday. Again, I'm going to use the switch statements to do that. But as I said, you can actually use if-else statement, but I prefer to use switch statements here because as you can see, it's much more organized. So here switch day to meet, right? Because my day to meet is in the form of integer. Okay. Now I'm going to add in here. So I do, let's say, case 1. Okay. Well, I can actually remove that if-else statements, right? But again, for simplicity, I'll keep it there first. I'll just do my case from 1 to 7. Okay, 1 to 7. Okay, case 4, case 5, case 6, case 7. Okay, because I've already put in an if-else statements where I change from 0 to 7. Now, day to meet. Okay, I'll need to create another string here because this is integer. I'll put a new variables or create a new variables here. Day to meet string. Okay. So this is my new variables here. Day to meet in strings. Then I will do something like this. I'll switch from integer to back to what we call that, back to string, right? From integer to string. Again, I need to have that break statements with end up with semicolons here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesday. Okay, I'm just gonna do it bit by bit. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so I've managed to switch from the integer to the string. Right, why do I need to have integer here? Because I have a formula here, right? And the result populated returned by the formula is in the form of integer. So I can't really do anything. I can't really straight away have a string. So I need to put that into the formulas, the formula return the integer, then only I convert the integer to string using the switch statements here. Now, to print that, I would just need to do day to meet string, right? Day to meet string, okay? Because I want to print that in the form of string. Now let's run this. What day is today? Saturday. In how many days you and your friends are going to meet? 10. So you and your friends are going to meet on Tuesday. So you can see here with two switch statements, I can have a input and output like this. Okay, so you can see how we actually evolve from our previous exercise where we only enter the integers. Now we can enter strings, then we can display the result in strings. Of course, this is not the best way for you to deal with this kind of questions, right? We do switch statements here because we learn Java conditional statements. So I want to kind of like evaluate your understanding of conditional statements. Later on, when we learn array, then you can see we can actually have a much easier way for us to deal with these kind of questions. Anyway, I hope through this exercise, you have a better understandings of conditional statements, specifically how to use if-else statements, how to use switch statements, how to combine if-else and also switch statements. So I think that's it for our solutions this week. Thank you very much.